Dear students, today we are going to see about functions of education. Functions of education. There are two types of function. One is general or individual functions of education and the other one is social and civic function. The first one is general or individual functions of education. Development of innate power of the individual, all-round development of the individual, modification of behavior and character formation, a tripolar process, enrichment of experience, a lifelong process. All these functions we have already discussed under the heading of characteristics of education in the previous video. So I have enclosed that video in the description box. Please check it. Next, we can see the next one, controlling, guiding, and sublimating the instincts. According to MacDougall, every infant is born with some basic instinct which determines the nature and type of activities that he gets into. These instincts also gain strength with age. If they are not controlled and guided in a desired direction, activities of the individual will also be uncontrolled and directionless. Moreover, some undesirable instinct need to be sublimated in order to flush out acceptable activities. Education performs all these functions in the interest of society and the individual. The next one is preparation of adult life. The responsibility of a child increases with age. When he is fully grown up, he needs a job to support his family. He is also expected to develop a good social relation with his relatives, neighbors, and the people at large. All these skills are taught to him through the process of education, and he is prepared to lead a responsible life in the society. Next one is preparation and transmission of culture. An individual is born in a society where various culture, traditions, and religious ideas exist. Each nation is proud of its culture and tradition. So they are preserved by education for the present generation and transmit or transformed for the next one. The next one is realization of Brahma. The worldly life is a temporary one. Assimilating the soul with Brahma is the main aim of our life. Education helps us to know the method of realization of self. Social and civic function. Important such functions of education are enhancement of social efficiency. That is, social efficiency of a nation depends upon the individual efficiency, which in turn depends upon the standard of education created for them. Social efficiency is the prerequisite for prosperity and economic growth of a nation. Education performs this function in and outside the school. Second one is modification of environment. An individual is not only expected to adapt to the environment by changing his habit and behavior, but he should also modify the environment according to his specific needs. Education develops in him the skill to modify the environment physically and ideologically. For example, communal feeling creates social tension. This type of feeling is reduced by teaching the universality of religion. Third one is creation of a civilized society. Education helps a man know how to behave different people in a different way. For this purpose, rules of contact and norms of ethics are taught to him. This makes the whole society civilized. The next one is citizenship training. For being a country good, its citizens should also be good and responsible. Education tells them how to exercise their rights and how to perform their duties. They are not only imparted leadership training, but fellowship feeling is inducted into their minds through actual experiences. The next one is social reforms. Education alienates the unfolded beliefs senseless traditions, evil customs, and unsound social practices. In this way, education becomes a major reform process also. The final one is vocational efficiencies. Education provides us vocational and professional knowledge. This makes us self-reliant and competent to perform a job. This increases our income, which in turn increases our satisfaction. Reconstruction of experience. Man undergoes a number of experiences when he comes in contact with the physical and social environment. These experiences sometimes lead him to wrong direction due to lack of maturity in the self. Through education, these experiences are reorganized in a positive manner and then they are reconstructed for future action. Next, national integration and development. India is a country of diversity of religion, languages, caste, cultures, and lifestyles. If these diversities are not brought under check, the whole nation will be disintegrated, resulting in huge loss of property and human lives. Thus, for the purpose of snatching the nation to the track of the development, education should bring about unity in this diversity. Thus, this can be done only by altering the ordinary society into educated and enlightened one. The next one is emotional integrity. For achieving national integration, emotional integration is first needed. Removes the narrow feelings of hatred, enmity, jealousy, and rivalry among the group. Emotional integration is brought about by importing fellow feelings and sense of cooperation in the individual. The next, moral training. We cannot make a society good only by evoking laws. The role of law is disciplinary affairs is very limited. It is only confined to physical aspects of life. Validity of a witness is another problem to enforce a law. Morality, on the other hand, is a self imposed discipline which is guided only by spirits. Thus, high moral values and ideals are taught through education by citing the examples of priests, prophets, and justice loving rulers. The last one is supply of skilled manpower. A number of skill and techniques are needed to perform various types of productive and non-productive tasks in the society. Such skilled and semi-skilled workers are supplied by formal and non-formal educational institutions. And the final one, adaptation to environment. This has also been discussed in the previous video, which I have enclosed in the discussion box. You can check it. Various forms of education. They are formal, informal, and non-formal education, general and specific education, technical or professional education, individual and collective education, and direct and indirect education. The first one is formal, informal, and non-formal education. The education which is imparted at a particular place under controlled environment is called formal education. Here, aims and methods of teaching are predetermined, curriculum is fixed, duration of teaching time is controlled by the timetable of the school, and discipline is exhibited everywhere in the system. Once the education is over, the students are given pass or fail certificates or degree. Education imparted in schools and colleges is termed as formal education. Informal education is a natural and unconscious process. Here, learner does not know that he is receiving any particular education at any particular time. The nature of contact between sender and receiver is also informal. Aim of education, curriculum, method of teaching, place and time of learning, everything is undetermined. As a result, no certificates or degree is issued at the end of the program. Family, neighborhood, playground, church, temple, social and religious organization, peer group, etc. are important informal agencies of education. Non-formal education is the education which is systematically imparted to learners according to the timetable suitable to them, and certificates or degree may be also issued at the time of education. Adult education centers, Anganwadi, library, museum, art galleries, extension lectures, symposium, and seminar, etc., are termed as non-formal agencies of education. Here, aims, curriculum, and methods of teaching are fixed, but teaching is not controlled by evaluation. However, when process is controlled by evaluation, a degree or diploma is also issued. Distance education is a better example of this. Second one is general and specific education. The education which is compulsorily imparted to students up to a certain stage or grade, irrespective of mental attitude, interest, and particular needs of students in a formal setting is termed as general education. For example, education imparted up to class 10 is general in India. Here, students do not have freedom to opt a subject according to their own choice till 10, class 10. This education is expected to sharpen the general mental ability of the child to make his life successful. Specific education has specific aims and curriculum based on the specific needs, interest, and aptitude of students. This type of education prepares the students for specific streams and area of life. The third one is technical or professional education. Technical education is given for the purpose of equipping the students with a particular techniques suitable to a particular trade or job, such as polytechnic, home science, paramedical training, etc. Practical aspects of education dominates over theoretical aspects here. Professional education is wider than technical education in scope. It prepares the students to run various types of professions in life. For example, medical education, management education, B.Ed, M.Ed courses, etc. Professionals know their job well as compared to the ordinary people. This education also requires training, but sufficient amount of theoretical knowledge is also given. Then individual and collective education. Individual education is the education which is imparted to the students individually and separately on the basis of their specific interests, aptitude, and needs. Here, teacher can easily adjust himself to the individual needs and the capacity of the child. This education is more psychological in its nature and scope. Collective education is imparted to the group or a class of students. This is more formal than the individual education. Children of different intellectual abilities and interests are grouped in a class, and then they are taught by a group of teachers one by one according to their pre-specified time frame. This education is more philosophical in its nature and scope. School education is an example of collective education. The final one is direct and indirect education, which is also dealt in the previous video. The link of the video is attached in the description box. You can check it. Scope of education. The above definitions and functions of education clarify that the process of education is not different from the purpose of life. They are rather complementary to each other. So, scope of education is pervasive to the whole life of human being. Since we come across a number of problems when we live in the society, education helps us in reaching the solution to this problem through experiences. But the spectrum of these experiences is so wide and the divergence that it is impossible for us to acquire all the experiences of life. For this very reason, we divide these experiences into parts and subparts. We can call them as subjects and papers respectively, and then we select any subject and papers on the basis of our interest and need. These divisions and subdivisions of experiences have made education an independent discipline in itself. Thus, education is now not only a process of life but also a subject. The scope of education from these two points of view is being listed here. Scope of education as a subject and education as a process. Under scope of education as a subject, we have educational psychology, educational philosophy, educational sociology, educational technology, educational administration, educational measurement and evaluation, educational education, history and problem of education. The first one is educational psychology. Child faces a number of problems related to education and development, and their solution required to take the help of psychology. Educational psychology studies various stages of physical, social, mental, and emotional development of child and their implication to the process of education. Learning theories of psychology are also applied to the teaching learning environment for making the learning possible. Problems related to personality, intelligence, memory, adjustment, etc., are also studied for fuller understanding of a child. Educational philosophy. Nature and purpose of education is determined on the basis of philosophy of nation and the people. For this purpose, various philosophical thoughts and their impact on education and life are studied. Thus, educational philosophy determines the direction as well as amount of education imparted to the individuals. Educational sociology. Under this division, we study the society and its impact on education on one hand and impact of education on culture and society on the other. Thus, sociological bases are provided to education and objectives of socialization of child are achieved. Educational technology. This branch of study helps the teacher to achieve the most with the least possible time, energy, and resources. Various teaching strategies and techniques are applied on students and their performance are evaluated keeping in view the predetermined objectives and then final result is obtained. Educational administration. Success of the process of education, whether it be formal or non-formal, depends entirely on the efficient administration. For this purpose, principle of educational administration, supervision and control of schools, appointment of teachers and non-teaching staff, qualifications and duties of teachers, and evaluation of school performance, etc., are studied and reforms and changes are made on the basis of system analysis. Educational measurement and evaluation. Under this division, we study why and how evaluation in education is done, how much degree of achievement may be a guarantee for success, and how much degree of error in work as a supplement to the whole educational process. Special education. This discipline refers to the method of imparting education to divided group of society, handicapped or backward and talented or superiors. Relative importance of special and integrated education is also studied here. History and problems of education. Divisions, Under this division, we study the nature, the pattern of education from the ancient period to the 21st century and their related problems. The final one is education as a process of life. It would not be incorrect to say that education is life itself. It is because education covers all the spheres of our life through experiences. The scope of education as a process of life can be well understood from the individual and social function of education, which has already been discussed in the previous videos. Students are also advised to go through the meaning and characteristics of education, and if you are interested to have a detailed knowledge of how education is related to your life, you are advised to go through the book Society and Education by John Dewey. Interrelationship of philosophy and education. Education and philosophy are so much independent on each other that it is very difficult to separate them practically. They may be termed as two sides of the same coin. They are interdependent on each other in the following ways. Philosophy determines the direction of education. Philosophy shapes the aspects of education. Education is the dynamic side of philosophy. and education gives birth to new philosophy also. First one, philosophy determines the direction of education. Education is a conscious, dynamic, and purposeful process. Philosophy determines the goal of life, which is consciously adapted by education, and thus aims of education and its nature are determined. When these aims of life change with the passage of time, philosophy of life again changes these educational objectives. Second one is philosophy shapes the aspects of education. There are two aspects of education, theoretical and practical. How much emphasis should be given to either of these aspects is determined by philosophy. Higher payment and higher status given to men of later in the society as compared to technocrat and professionals testifies to the fact that philosophy still dominates on educational scenes. The third one is education in the dynamic side of philosophy. Philosophy equips us with thoughts or ideas, and these thoughts are put into practice by education. Thus, a combination of theory and practice makes the process of life complete. Fourth one is education gives birth to new philosophy also. Herbert holds the opinion education has no time to make holiday till all the philosophical questions are once for all cleared up. When we go through the process of education, we come across various types of problems which need to seek the help of philosopher to solve them. Philosophical debates are held for this purpose. This can cause new philosophy to emerge. Thank you.